I'm Mike.
I'm Jason.
This is Snake Envy. So we have done a couple of videos in the past where we have talked about taming down snakes. We used several snakes in that video, but none of them were very big.
Right.
We did another video with a little Neo where we talked specifically about confident grab, which in our opinion is really the key to taming snakes.
Yeah, it's the best way.
It's the best way to do it, best way to go about it, and it's the least, fear that you're going to impart on the snake if you learn how to do it. We are much bigger, and if I approach you and I start and I stop and I change positions and then I stop, if you're the little snake, I look like a big predator. And so what you have to do is just reach in and grab them.
You look like a big predator, and what they're doing is working. The defense is working, so until they realize that, oh, this ain't work, that's the purpose of the confident grab.
Exactly. I often tell people that it's no different than training a dog or training a horse or any other animal. You reward good behavior and you try to minimize as much as you can the fear and the stress and all of that stuff. But you always reward good behavior. So the other thing that we're going to show you is that we are not going to end the handling session except on a positive note. Today, we're going to show you the techniques we showed you before, but she's not so little anymore. So tell us about this snake.
This snake is a bull snake. It's about 18, 19 months old. She's got some size to her now, and she just has this aggression. I don't want to call it aggression, but it's just this
Defensive,
like it's very strong.
We have filmed her a few times. You may recognize her. We filmed her talking about her genetics. What's special about this girl?
Oh, genetically, well, she's just eye candy. It's an axanthic patternless with some pattern left, so it gives it nice like racing stripes down her back.
She's beautiful.
It's a great looking snake, but she's just got a streak in her, and it wasn't just left to her too. It was some of her siblings have that too. So
yeah, you have a good friend who has one of her clutch mates. What success has he had in taming that one down?
He handles her every week, at least once a week, from what I understand.
So it's going.
Do I handle this thing? Never, almost. So
yeah, I mean, other than cleaning out her tub and.
Even then, it's not much.
Yeah, and that's important to mention. This is not a snake in her nearly 2 years of life that has had any handling at all. So we're starting from scratch, and we have filmed her defensive displays before as well.
Yeah, several times.
We have filmed her hissing at us, and we have also filmed her in slow motion striking. So if you go back through our catalog, you'll see a couple videos of her showing off those defensive displays, and you're going to see them here.
Okay.
We are going to handle her at least twice a week for as long as it takes. We're guessing 4 to 6 weeks. And get her tamed down to the point that we can handle her with confidence. I think it would be fun in the summer when we go out and do our urban snakes educating on the streets, if we could take this snake and show you guys that we've gone from what you're going to see now to her being handled not only by us but by strangers, that would be pretty impressive.
If we could take this thing by summertime, I'll be super impressed. So.
Oh, we'll definitely be able to do it by summer. I'm thinking 4 to 6 weeks we're going to be confident with her, and then we'll keep working.
Oh, I know we're going to make progress. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But it will be impressive, yes, if she's handled by strangers and is, in essence, kind of an educational animal come summer. That will be impressive, based on where she is now. Now, there are two schools of thought on taming snakes. Why don't you walk us through both of those?
First, I'll walk you through what I normally do, which is not a lot. It's just working minimal with the animal. They tend to get used to you cleaning cages and stuff like that, but
Feeding.
I don't yeah, and that stuff, but you know, it's kind of like let them grow up and mature, and they a lot of times they really do chill out. Well, I'd say 99% of the time when you get a snake like this, it usually by all of a sudden about 5 foot just kind of chills out, maybe just hisses.
They
a
get
little
more
bit.
confident as they get bigger.
Yeah.
Now, the second school of thought.
Start handling the snake while it's small, while it's young and small, and you know, for one, you don't want to. If you're going to take bites, you want to take it from a baby, a hatchling.
They don't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't do much at all, and so that, you know, starting young and early is, I think, super important. But then do it at least weekly, maybe bi-weekly. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Regular handling. I shoot for at least a couple times a week with Neos. I always give them a couple weeks, even a month sometimes, just to kind of settle in, get used to things. I don't worry about handling them in that early period. But from that point forward, I'm always shooting for twice a week. So I definitely believe in that school of thought, simply because I've seen too many people wait. And just like this girl, she's 18 months old. The defensive displays haven't gone away yet. There's no guarantee by the time she's 2 or 3 that they will. Now you have a snake that is big enough that you're afraid of it. And rightly so. It's big. It can draw blood.
This could ruin your...
The bites can hurt.
Yeah. I mean, this can ruin you from liking snakes.
It can, and it does. It ruins people in the hobby. They end up rehoming the snake because it reaches a point where they're afraid of it, and now it's gotten big enough that they don't even want to attempt what we're going to attempt.
Yeah.
So be thinking about that as you watch, and ask yourself, do I want to be doing what these guys are doing? We always say that bull snakes, pits in general, they tend to be more bluff than bite.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will bite with a closed mouth, or they'll strike with a closed mouth. Sometimes it's a lot of noise and no bite, but you're pretty confident she's going to bite.
I think this thing's going to bite. I think it's going to bite, and and I've never tried to get bit by a snake this large either. I never want to get bit, but been bit so many times I can't count.
Neither of us want to get bit by this
I do not want to get bit
but
by
we're
this thing,
prepared to get bitten by her because that's part of what you have to do.
Let's try.
But the key is confident grab. We're going to grab her quickly. We're going to let her do her thing if she does decide to bite. We are not going to put her back in the tub, either one of us, until she's calmed down enough that we can end the handling session on a positive note. That's the positive reinforcement. Her reward is to get put away. She doesn't want us to handle her, and her reward is to get put back. But if we put her back right after a bite, she could even musk us. Pits don't do that as frequently as some others.
She might.
But she could. She could poop on us. She could musk us. Same thing. We don't want to put her away right after she's defensive because, as Jason said earlier, that tells her those things work and they'll put me away and I'll get rewarded. So we have to muscle through that and put her away on a positive note. I did bring a hook. I think hooks are mandatory equipment if you own snakes. Not only can they help us in a situation like this, because the business end of the snake, the head, can be out here while we're supporting her back here, and that can ease her into the handling a little bit and keep us away from the bites. The other thing is taking a snake out of the enclosure with a hook, getting them out initially and using the hook for your confident grab can sometimes be helpful. Sometimes once you get them out, they settle down pretty quickly. The worst part is getting them out. But if you have an escape at home, and a snake ends up in a tight spot, these hooks can be invaluable trying to fish them out. And certainly if you go herping in the wild, these can make the experience a lot easier. And certainly I recommend if you're flipping boards or rocks, this keeps your hand.
It's a great tool to have in the snake room
Yeah.
too.
So fantastic in the snake room. Obviously, these are helpful in the wild. Whether we do today or not will kind of depend on her, but we will show you hook techniques with her along the way. So we're going to post this initial video. We're just about to open this up. Who's going first? I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go in for confident grab. We'll go from there. You have the paper towels standing by.
Yep.
Pressure on the bite. But what we're going to do is over the next, I would estimate 4 to 6 weeks, but who knows? It might be quicker, it might be longer. We're going to handle her at least twice a week over the next few weeks. We will film each of those handling sessions so you can see the progress. And then at the end, hopefully we're going to be showing you here in just a few weeks a much more manageable snake. And then I'm predicting in the summer we'll be confident letting strangers handle her.
Okay.
We will see.
Yeah, we will.
All right, so let's do this. I'm going to set the hook down. It'll be here at the ready should we need it.
I really am going to grab some paper towels. Just because. I'm going to put it right here.
She is right here. Now, again, we're pretty confident that she's going to put on a defensive display. You might hear her, you might see her rise up. The key is I want to reach in. Ideally, I want to grab her behind the head, but even if push came to shove, I want to go right in and grab her, just below the head and bring her out. But ideally, I want to come in from behind, but I want to do it quickly. And then I want to quickly support the front of her body. That's what's going to help her to realize all is well. And then be prepared for me to get startled when she when she strikes. But here we go. Well, she's partly in the tube. That's actually going to help me a little bit, because that's going to enable me to pull her out through the tube. So that actually helped me. Now, she's putting on a show. She's telling me, leave me alone. She calmed down fairly quickly. That's good. She's giving me a good sniff. What I like to do is let the snake explore as much as it wants. I don't want her to feel restrained, and I don't want her to feel like I'm preventing her from doing what she wants to do in terms of checking me out. If I were to come in and grab her close to her head right now, that would actually agitate her. But it's helping because she's on my forearm, but I'm supporting her weight. That's what makes her feel comfortable and feel confident. But as I change positions, that's when there's a likelihood that she'll get fired up again and not be happy. But so far, pretty good.
Really good. It's just not as big as I thought.
But again, ask yourself, would you rather be handling this girl, or would you rather be handling a little Neo, knowing that they don't want to be handled?
Or a 5-footer.
Or a 5-footer.
She's probably 32 inches or so, I'm guessing.
She's doing really well. What I want to do again is I don't want to grab her tightly. I don't want to make her feel like I'm keeping her from doing anything. But I also want to keep her weight supported. They get nervous if they're kind of dangling.
And this is funny because she didn't put on the show at all.
Well, I actually lucked out
That,
because she was in the tube.
so when we put her back down,
You're not going to luck out
it
with the
won't.
tube.
It'll be a little different. I think.
It will be a little different. But the thing I want to emphasize is I've probably handled her now less than 5 minutes. It doesn't matter in the beginning how long your handling session is. They'll get longer as you go. What matters is I want to put her back now because she's very well behaved and she hasn't been doing anything. If you want to pull that tube out, I'm going to put her back. We are going to close the drawer so that we're starting fresh. And I feel bad for you a little bit because I lucked out with her being in the tube.
It's totally fine.
Tubes, by the way, there are clear plastic tubes you can buy for out in the wild, where you let the snake go into the tube and it helps you to handle a snake very safely with the head in the tube. So because she's so well behaved, I'm going to go ahead and put her back. Now, brief encounter, but she learned that we picked her up, we handled her, we didn't restrain her, we didn't treat her roughly, we put her back. So now we're going to repeat the process, and Jason won't have the advantage of her being in the tube.
So when I as a neo, when it's defensive, I just go right in.
Yeah.
This snake, whether it's a little larger, I'm going to be more gentle with her, scooping her up. I won't just grab,
Probably won't go head first.
No, and
Try to
when
get
you
her from behind.
when you aggressively grab her,
Yeah.
that. But in the wild, handling pits, I hardly ever get that butt bitten, and
No.
I'm really gentle with them. So that's kind of the approach I'll use.
I don't think I've ever been bitten by a Great Basin gopher here in Utah. Have you ever been bitten by a bull snake in the wild?
No.
I took a good bite on a golf course. We were coming up on the last green. It's just before dusk. There was a big 5-foot bull snake stretched out on the green. Of course, I was showing off. Went and grabbed him, held him up, brought him back down, and he right on the floor. So I come back to the group with blood running down my arm. But to be fair, I didn't handle him like I normally would. I was showing off for the guys who were all terrified and who were convinced it was a rattlesnake. So had I handled him more gently, like you're saying, I don't think I would have got bitten. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll switch you sides, or are you more comfortable on that side?
And look, she wasn't ready. She was totally she was hiding. Her head was under so that was easy.
Now I feel bad in a way because we built her up. And I'll link one of the videos where you'll see her normal defensive display. Maybe what we ought to do is put her back and then open the tub and wait a minute before we go in. And then she might go into her defensive display if we give her a second. But it would be interesting to show you us picking her up while she's being defensive, but maybe she's not going to.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's open it, and then let's just kind of stand over her and wait a minute and see if she gets cranky.
You can kind of give her.
Yeah. There we go. So she gave us a little hiss, started to rise up.
She is in a good mood today. But yeah.
But as soon as Jason picks her up, she's good.
And if you can do, this is the test. If she can move like this is going on around her and she's not getting aggressive, that's good.
Another good test is
movement.
kind of coming in under their heads. A lot of snakes don't like any contact with their heads. So she's doing a lot better than we would have predicted. I will link one of the videos where you can see in the description her defensive displays. They're pretty impressive. And I'm betting when we do this again on Thursday, we'll probably get a little different response. This is not typical for her.
Right.
So in a few weeks,
Built this up too big.
we did. We built her up. This always happens. We jinxed it, and now you guys don't believe us. But
I was ready to get bit.
no, Jason was absolutely certain that we were going to get bitten. So thank you.
Thanks.